Welcome back. And Rusty, we were saying at the top of the show that the best that a team like Mammoth can hope for in this situation is some upsets. And upsets we certainly have got. Game number 1 of Super Week, and Chiefs just not being able to stand up to the might of Mammoth.
I find it funny, Nick, when you really look at the standings in Week 10, what it means. Because Mammoth have been the ultimate blue shell of this season. They've only won like 5 games now. And 2 of those 5 are against the Chiefs. And when you consider that, that's tied with Order in second place right now if they were at 13 wins. So that's what Mammoth have done. They're at a point where Mammoth have kind of forced Chiefs in this position where the worst spot they could finish is 5th, so they will still be in playoffs. But they pushed them down the ladder. And that's a big deal.
Absolutely. And like you said, Mammoth have been instrumental in Chiefs going down that ladder. And it's looking like if, the Chiefs can't not make the playoffs, but if they go 5th, then they're running the gauntlet. And this is not, Spawn, what we were expecting when we started this split. And it was just a face-off between Chiefs and Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of mentioned it in the pre-show. I feel like when the split started, we had a lot of questions about how Dragku was going to fill in for CK. And I feel like he initially did it really, really well. And I don't know whether it was people just didn't respect him all that much or whether they weren't drafting towards bottom lane because against Chiefs last split, that was kind of, suicidal because they would just survive everything and then outscale you. I don't know how Dragku was getting away with a lot of the drafts he was able to, but it seems like in the last couple of weeks, maybe the last 4 weeks in particular, the Chiefs' bottom lane is getting punished. And that game was like, even though they looked 0-4 on the score sheet, I think that Mammoth's bottom lane completely outplayed the Chiefs' bottom lane. I think that Artek was instrumental in first blood, then the next 2 kills, and I think in terms of team fighting as well, completely out-team fought Dragku. And I think that this is an area that you have to look at if you're the Chiefs. How do you shore this up? Because going into playoffs, you're guaranteed to play against good bottom lanes every single week. He's going to be matching up against Isles, who might be the best support in the league, Ayla, Rogue, and Decoy are the 4 supports that, most likely Dragku's going to have to play against. They're some of the best players on their team, let alone in the league.
It's amazing just watching that game how big of a deal not having vision in the right places or people at the right places was for the Chiefs as well. Because like you mentioned it during the cast Spawn, but their bottom lane went and scouted some Gromp camps because they were so afraid. But they were sitting back being zoned because they just didn't have a jungler on their side of the map. And like if that's the way that you permanently have to play League of Legends, while being counterpicked in mid against a Renekton Elise top side, you're never going to win a game. It's just that simple. And so they really do need to reassess the game plan here, particularly from draft, it seems.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I want to finish it. Like, I've been pretty lenient on the Chiefs drafts. I actually like the Chiefs coaching staff a lot, so, maybe I'm too nice to them at times. But that draft today sucked. Like, there is no way to get around it. Like, as Rusty mentioned, you, had counterpick top lane that you counterpicked yourself into. Like, you can survive one-on-one, but as soon as they take something like Elise, you're in trouble. You have counterpick mid lane that you saw coming from a mile away. Like, if I can see that coming, there's no way CL didn't see that coming. And then I think your bottom lane had the opportunity to be heavily winning, and then you chose to pick set into Brawl, which in my opinion isn't a great set lane either. So I think they actually had 3 losing lanes for the second time against Mammoth, and maybe some disrespect thinking, we'll just outscale and we'll just out-team fight them as the game progresses.
We should have some sort of third split where it's just Chiefs and Mammoth. They should be the only 2 teams, and we do 10 weeks of them and just see what happens. Because it's like, it's very weird. Rusty, as you pointed out, been the Chiefs twice. They've also been Legacy once. So Mammoth either destroy the top of the table or compete down at the bottom. It's a very interesting situation for them to be in. So congratulations, Mammoth. You've done it. You've kicked off Super Week with a bang. We're kicking off our part of the show as well. We are charging towards the end of the LCK round 1. Because there's a ton of champions, and we're going to need to figure out some sort of seeding process, like where the NBA bubble, to figure out how we're going to do round 2. But we're going to jump into the LCK now, and this is Bandle City.
The sun's out, the crowd's ready. Let's wreck it!
Bombs away! Ready, aim, fire!
Let me tell you, this entire segment is worth it just for the creativity of where you could put boxing gloves in opening titles.
We've really forced him to his creative limits with boxing gloves, haven't we?
Yeah, totally. Well, hey, to be fair, Kent put himself in his own corner with this one. There's no one said you need to put boxing gloves on everyone, and he found a bit, and now he's stuck with it. All right, but he does a great job. We love you. Matchup number 1. There's not a lot. It's just 3. We got 3 matchups. This is going to be nice and spicy. Skimmy, give us a wave if you're okay.
Queen's wave. That's a thumbs up,
Queen's
bro.
wave. That's a
He's
thumbs
not
up.
okay.
No, something's terribly wrong. He's trying to communicate with us. Okay. Oh, God. Too much.
He's gabbing. That means he's sick. Someone call an ambulance.
Okay, so Skimmy, I want you to raise your right hand.
He's not doing it. Oh.
Okay. And then I want you to raise your left hand. And so right hand is going to be the first option. Left hand is going to be the second option. So you don't need to talk at all. We're preserving that beautiful voice. Okay. Matchup number 1. Corky versus Lulu. Corky, Lulu. Corky, Lulu. Corky, Lulu.
Okay, so I'm going to pick Lulu. The reason that I'm picking Lulu is solely because of Swiffer. So when Lulu came out and it was a mid lane pick, he had to play it so much that it hit a point where he jumped into TeamSpeak one day and all he said was Glitterlands. He just constantly yelled Glitterlands. He was so tilted by the fact that all he did was play that champion, and that gave me so much pleasure. So I'm going to go with Lulu.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, to be honest, because then for the rest of his career, we used to bait people into picking LeBlanc so we could play like Lulu Xin Zhao into it, and he hated the fact that he wasn't the carry in those matchups, because Lulu started as like this big AP nuke burst mage, right? I like Corky, however. I think Corky has some of the best voice lines in League of Legends.
What's your favorite?
You ain't nothing but a whiskey delta.
There you go. It's juice. Thank you very much on this broadcast, Spawn. All right, so, I mean, look, chat are pretty close. It's 52-48, but I want to give this one to Her Majesty. So, Skimmy, if we could get Skimmy back on screen so I could see which hand he wants. So it is, what did I say?
His
I
right
forget.
hand
Right
is
hand
Corky.
is Corky, and left hand is Lulu. Let's bring Skimmy back, so because I can't see him. So...
We're not
there's
doing
no,
that.
we can't.
no
All
one's
right, there it is.
There you go. There you go.
There we go. He's going Corky. Congratulations. Skimmy has spoken through the medium of very basic hand signals. Corky wins this one. Lulu was the chat's pick. Now, unfortunately, chat, just like my screaming children, you don't always get what you want. Okay, matchup number 2, Rumble versus Teemo. We all know where I'm going with this one.
Yeah.
But I guess someone needs to defend Rumble.
I mean, you need to defend
Anyone?
Teemo, Nick. That's
Anyone?
the state of League of Legends. You're defending Teemo. It's everyone's Rumble by default.
I guarantee the chat is going Teemo. Wow, I was so wrong.
Don't underestimate the hatred people have for Teemo.
Do you know what? I hate Teemo top. I'm just going to start there. But there was an LCK team that was playing Teemo bot a lot of the time, and I think Teemo bot should be buffed. I don't know how you buff in bot lane, so he doesn't get buffed top lane and just ruin the game all over again. But Teemo bot seems really fun. Someone's telling me it was Griffin that played it, so yeah. I think that, like, there's some things about Teemo that I do like. However, in saying that, Rumble was the beginning of, like, weird bruiser top laners and the AP, and I remember Zion Spartan used to build him with a Gunblade, in fact. So I'm going to go with Gunblade top lane Rumble.
I don't like this at all. Rusty, you've picked Rumble, haven't you?
Oh, absolutely. I see no reason to pick Teemo ever, actually.
Teemo was the first champion I ever saw from League of Legends. It was when I was on Good Game, and it was a stuffed Teemo wearing a hat, and I looked at it and I was like, what the hell is that thing? Get it off my set. And then someone said it's League of Legends thing and he's adorable, and then I fell in love. And now Rusty says Rumble, Spawn says Rumble, Chat says Rumble. We're going to cut back now to Skimmy. Skimmy's definitely got his Rumble hand up, which is his right hand. God damn it.
It's your show,
Can I
Nick.
call-
You're
Can
the
I call
host.
an audible on this? I feel
can.
like I should be able to take Teemo all the way at least to the grand final.
You can. I mean, it's your, like, the reality of the situation, as much as I despise it, somehow you're the most powerful person on the OPL. So,
Yeah, I don't know how we got to this.
I don't know how we got to it either, but if you want to wield that power to rep your man Teemo, like, who are we to stop you?
No. It doesn't feel very democratic, and it doesn't feel like that's particularly fair.
Now he
So
pretends he's a
We're
Democrat.
suddenly a democracy.
No, I do it for the people. So congratulations on the win, Timo. And then the third and final matchup, because that's right, we're doing it. Timo's going through. With the third and final matchup, we've got it's Tristana versus Vega versus Yumi.
Two
Triple
of
threat.
these champions suck, and Vega looks like Vivi from Final Fantasy IX. No copyright intended. So it has to be Vega, surely.
What's your favorite voice line of Vega, Spawn?
I'm never doing Vega's voice
Damn
again
it.
on broadcast. Bryce used to do it really well. I
Yeah,
like
he didn't
the
stop.
"Is that a short joke" line. That's a good one, but I refuse to do the accent.
I'm with you. Though.
So Vega's the pick?
Yeah, for me, it's
No
Vega.
one's going to defend Yumi?
Only the cat mains would defend Yumi. The thing with Yumi, right, and I said this before, is I would happily not have Yumi in the game if I never had to verse it. And, like,
Yep.
it's great to play with it, but I hate versing it so much that I'd be willing for it to not exist.
And that's literally half of the game, right? Half the time you're playing the thing, and the other half the time you're against the thing. And so if it's not fun when you're up against it, then why should you get to have all the fun? And apparently everyone hates cats because it's got the least amount of votes in the chat. Vega running away with 61%. We'll cut back to Skimmy. Skimmy, you don't have the final word on this one, and you don't have 3 hands. So I don't know how you're going to vote. So what are you going to do? There you go. So congratulations to Vega. That's a big win. It's a big win for little champions today. So Corky taking out round 1. Timo with the audible for round 2. And then Vega winning round 3. That's your Bandle City edition of the LCK. Congratulations to all our winners. You're going to go to some sort of playoff situation that I haven't decided how do we do that yet. And there's going to be some sort of, we throw them in a soup, we toss out some, and then there'll be a finals on the final. All right, let's get ready for game number 2 because it is Direwolves versus Gravitas. We've seen a massive upset with Mammoth and Chiefs for game 1. Let's go around the horn. Spawn, Direwolves or Gravitas taking this one out?
Direwolves may win this game before a surrender vote is eligible.
Skimmy, you've got a right hand for Direwolves and a left hand for Gravitas. It's Direwolves and then Rusty.
Yeah, look, I'll give benefit of the doubt to Gravitas. They might make the surrender vote.
I'm just excited for the idea of drama. Like, what could happen? This is already out the window. 2 massive things have happened this broadcast already. 1, Mammoth won against the Chiefs. 2, our play-by-play caster seems to have completely lost his voice. So this is going to be a fascinating weekend. So let's jump into game number 2. It's Direwolves versus Gravitas, and it is coming up with the Mechas Champ Select.
How do you think nobody's going to fare against you?
Alright, so to play in the OPL, right, Toby, as you know, you have to be Diamond 3 or higher. So I think Riot should look into nobody's account because something's wrong there.
Puma's improved quite a bit from the start of the split, but he still has to play with beats, which is a bit of a problem. Yeah. So Suman, I think, has kind of lost his identity. His identity was like playing like assassins and like real crazy champs like Akali Aurelia, but now he just plays Karma and Lulu. So I think it'll be a fairly easy matchup.
Vital, you're taking on Puma and Beats in the bottom lane.
Yeah.
How do you think they'll fare?
I'm in solo queue. I missed in my game Beach Support part, and that guy pretty in team. I hope so. That guy in stage game play bot.
And here we go for our second game of the day, and it seems that they're Spawn, that Direwolves, they're fired up. They're ready to go for this one. They've laid down the law of their trash talking there. They've been, well, they haven't lost to Gravitas this entire split so far, but this is the second big narrative to follow, right? Much like Direwolves need to win all their games, so do Avant Gaming hot on their heels, and Gravitas could look to cause the second big upset of the weekend.
Yeah, and that's why I think that this one is going to be a very quick game for the Direwolves. Because if you look at how the Direwolves perform under pressure, Skimmy, contrary to what we've said about, and they picked away the Bard. If you wanted to play Bard Vital, don't first pick Bard. But contrary to what we've been saying about the Chiefs, young lineup, haven't had to deal with all that much pressure. You look at the Direwolves lineup, Chippies has won like 2 OPL titles. Decoy's been around for bloody ever. Shock's been around forever as well. Mir's now back for his second year within the OPL. It's only Vital that they're really carrying from a experience point of view. And pressure, this team reverse swept order after being 0-2 down and then went on to beat the Chiefs in a best of 5 and then put up a really, really good fight against Legacy in that grand final, even taking a game off Legacy, which I don't think anyone expected. Direwolves, to me, are probably one of the top 2 teams in the competition with Legacy under pressure.
Certainly are, and they've showcased that on multiple times. And whilst the split hasn't been the icing on the cake to sort of resemble that performance coming from playoffs and showcasing it here in Split 2, definitely a team that you can never discount. They've obviously made those crazy runs before. No doubt they'll be looking to try and do it again here. And yep, the Bard will be taken away, as you highlight. It's a bit of an interesting one to see that one come on out. But the Shen, it's going to be a first pick here for nobody that we've yet to see. And definitely not going to be a support as the Fresh is locked in. So for Gravitas, they want to get themselves a very strong early game control to match in to what this Ezreal and Bard possess. Yeah, they obviously just want to dive bottom lane, is all I see from that. They've got a pushing, beg my pardon, pushing 80 carry, a kill support, and then a Shen top lane. That to me just spells like that they want to continue to push in the bottom lane and look for some turret dives. I do want to point out, Skimmy, and this is a long shot, right? The Pentanet have a very hard week. Pentanet find themselves up against Gravitas, who obviously, are bottom of the table, unfortunately. But then they play Legacy as well as Avant Gaming. And then the Chiefs also have quite a hard week. They have Legacy, Direwolves, and they've already lost a game versus Mammoth. So, where I'm going from here, Skimmy, bear with me, is if Direwolves win all their games and Chiefs lose all their games, Direwolves will be above Chiefs on the ladder. It's almost like the fire has been set, the floor is lava, and everybody's like trying to run away from that bottom spot right now. And there's upsets that are definitely in the making. There's, potential schedule that could look to upset the party for some of these teams. And we'll get to see if the Direwolves have the resources and the strategy to showcase that we are not a team that want to fall victim to these kind of upsets. They've banned away to rather high priority supports right now. We've seen that Nidalee is definitely still up there in the likes of things, and after last couple of weeks, especially when Parbu debuted it, Kha'Zix is showcasing what it can do. Lilia is available. Will Lilia be locked in? This would be an absolute statement, wouldn't it? It's not going to be. He's a troll. Okay, debate. Okay. We find ourselves with a set top lane, potentially, into the Shen. Now, this was played last week in the OPL. And I want to say it was played by Order into Pentanet. Skimmy? Biopanther played the Shen and Order played set top. And Biopanther bopped Swiper, I think is maybe the most accurate way to say that. Yeah. So we'll see whether Chippies has a better laning phase. Certainly we need to keep tabs on that one, as Chippies is definitely one of those standout players on this roster. We say it multiple times. He's definitely had that sort of evolution of his playstyle coming into the second split of showcasing that he can play tanks and fit the mold of this team and not have to be the sole carry that we saw glimpses of in split 1 there. What are Gravitas going to go for? Well, Predator is going to go back to what works for him so many times before. It is going to be his staple in the Echo. And Shock wants to match the aggression that the Orianna possesses by going for some also AoE control. Okay, interesting composition coming across from the Direwolves lineup. You would expect Shock to play something maybe a little bit more aggressive into the Orianna, maybe a Zoe or a LeBlanc, potentially something like a Syndra as well, but instead just matches control mage scaling Skimmy. I do like the lineup that Gravitas have if they're able to navigate the early game successfully, but in saying that, as always, with the Direwolves compositions, Miru's on a strong jungler. If he's able to get himself an advantage, he hasn't gone with the, cheesy Ignite, Smite, something like that. He's just gone Standard Flash. If he gets himself a good early game, they scale like you honestly would not believe this lineup. Yeah, scale phenomenally. We know what Israel can do, especially when 3 items are there. Azir, no slouch as well. Definitely really keen to hit those points in the game. But as you highlight quite rightly, if we can have a sort of repeat of game 1 where we saw that the bot lane gets ahead by just a small margin, hits that level 6 first, we're talking Fate's Call, Stand United comes in there, a guaranteed fight down bot lane. With multiple members, not really going to take too much damage. You add into the fact that you've got an Echo as well, which can reverse all of that damage too. You've got so many different champions that excel at soaking up damage and just completely cancelling it out.
Yeah, and I think that they also have like fairly good skirmish champions. You know, Echo going in with a Shen, Kalista Thresh going in a duo with a Shen to be able to back them up. I think if the game comes down to, you know, pure 5v5 team fighting, I would rather be the Direwolves. But if you can separate into pockets, you know, 2v2s, 3v3s, I think then the Gravitas lineup is definitely a little bit more successful at that. In saying that, you do have to take, you know, current form into the account. And I feel like Direwolves as a team are looking a little bit more scary than the Gravitas lineup right now.
They certainly are, and their run of form recently, it's been a little bit rough for them. You see a ton of defeats, having gone up against the likes of Chiefs, Order Legacy, and Pentanet in recent times. They've fallen victim to them. They're only, their last victory was last weekend, actually, against Mammoth. So they are searching for wins, not only for pride's sake, but yeah, for the standings as well. As it stands for Gravitas, they'll be looking to try and showcase what they can do with a nice little creative draft. And I suppose we go back to that point from previous of, you know, pressure versus no pressure, and sort of with those breaks taken off, how you can look to try and unleash yourself here on the Rift.
Yeah, and we'll see whether that is the case, right? Whether Direwolves are feeling no pressure and think that they have got themselves locked into this last playoff spot and potentially looking to build, or whether they feel like, as you said, the last couple of weeks haven't been all that they wanted them to be, and instead this is a high-pressure scenario for them as they come up against Gravitas. I think we'll know fairly early on. That Chiefs game was going one way pretty quickly that we just watched Skimmy. We'll see whether Gravitas are able to replicate what Mammoth just showed us in the blueprint of success.
We'll look to see what kind of success is in game number 2 here, as Gravitas will do battle with the Direwolves, currently sitting in 5th spot, 1 game ahead of the Avant Gaming roster. The battle for that final playoff spot is up for debate here today. And this is one of those games across the next few that will showcase across this weekend that look to decide what this league will look like.
Who do you reckon is going to make it? Do you think Direwolves have it, or do you think Avant will sneak in?
I think, based on recent form, I'd say Direwolves are a more complete team from recent times. I really do feel for Chaz, though, on Avant. He's been playing really, really well. I say it week in, week out. I think if they can find that degree of stability, sort of like the Pap Rise we saw in weeks 1 and 2, if we can get that Caitlyn pick now that it's meta again, back in the bot lane for Avant, I think they have a really good shot of causing an upset.
Yeah, certainly could be the case, as we see Chippy's actually scouts top side of the map. As on the flip side, we see an invade. It was spotted out by a ward Skimmy, which is crucial. You can see here that the Thresh is going to also scout them coming back to lane, so he'll have exact timing on that. See whether Praylist does cross and go for a red buff of his own, or whether he just stays in topside jungle. Looks like he's staying in topside jungle. This is a bad news story. If Mir crosses to topside right now, this is going to be a massive advantage for the Direwolves.
Certainly will be. And he's actually going to do a cheeky little drive-by through mid as well. Tried to buffer that second order, but a little bit difficult there with the short range and the pellets working against him. Nonetheless, those drop Seaman down to half. Obviously has a ton of consumables at his disposal, so no big impact as a result. Interesting to see how Praylist looks to try and track him, though.
And isn't that a good early game from the Direwolves? You can see that they allow mid and top to shove naturally. It's very hard to out-shove a Set if he hits the lane. Shen wants to hit the champion, and Set can just punch minions really hard. So he gets himself 2 free camps on the opponent's opposite side of the map, and he also has mid lane priority, so he can cross back to his blue here. And I think that Praylist cannot take this buff. You have Bard to be able to go through the wall quicker. He's also a better skirmisher at this stage of the game. You have mid lane priority. I think you just have to let it go.
Looks like heads will collide. There goes the Chronosphere. Not going to be in that, so no stun will connect. Getting closer and closer to smite range. Gravitas the first lane to respond and reset and get across. It's guaranteed that Praylist picks up that blue buff. Now, will he look for a skirmish as a result? Here comes Shock, well ahead of the clock on Seaman. Going to decide, nope, go back to that lane. We're quite content with just sacrificing this blue buff as Beats cops a big, big beating.
Yeah, and so the Direwolves bottom lane did what I expected. They actually just lose a couple of creeps because it was pushing back out to be able to defend the blue. If you have a look at mid lane, however, I am quite shocked that Shock did not rotate to that fight. He had complete inside track. He had the wave pushed into where he needed it to be, Skimmy. He could have just up and left and gone towards the other side of Summoner's Rift and helped out there. Maybe even picked up a kill with how low beats did go in that skirmish. But double Scuttle Crab going to be achieved for this Grave.
Certainly is. It's a nice little vision, and Prelis isn't done yet with his bot lane shenanigans. I'm just going to chuck out another one of those little bubbles from afar and say what's up as he goes back to where it all started. I'm going to do a little bit more counter jungling, but nope, the vision will be there, and he has to be aware of that maybe, just maybe, I'm biting off a little bit more than I can chew.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to, right? You see that he has a couple of camps up in his jungle now. He's going to take the Raptors. He'll probably then take Recall, take topside camps and look for maybe a top lane gank or contest there. I think this early game has been slightly recovered by the fact that he got an extended blue buff by being able to pick up a second blue. But all in all, still Direwolves favoured without a kill going across. They're about 400 gold up. And everywhere apart from this bottom lane looking very, very nice for them so far.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the bottom lane. I look at Chippies and you wonder, what would this matchup look like, seeing that we've already had it happen in the OPL before. So far, Chippies is in a very comfortable spot, up about 20 CS. Be quite content with how things are working that way, and if they can look to keep this Shen locked underneath the turret, then there's always going to be that trade-off, the opportunity cost of, yes, I can go for this gank here with the Stand United, but what do I lose topside?
And now I'm going to try and explain like a difficult concept, and we'll see how it lands, right? So if you leash as a laner, you're guaranteed that you're going to be to the wave second. So even if you do win the lane, you're never going to get pushed on the first 3 waves, because if Set has access to the first 3 waves, he just primes his minions, hits them a little bit early, and he's going to have the shove, right? So that's why nobody lost the early shove. We already mentioned it. Chippies hit creeps. Nobody has to hit Chippies. Why did he lose the second bit of priority and therefore go down all this far? Well, it's to do with how Graves was able to recross for the top lane scuttle. You don't want to push your lane too aggressively if you're nobody, because you don't want the Graves behind you as he's going to that Scuttle Crab and just have a free gank on the top side of Summoner's Rift. So just a little bit of insight, even though it could be a winning matchup, why nobody would find himself in a scenario where he's down about 6 or 7 creeps, as you mentioned, and having a little bit more of a rough time. You can see, as far as the trades go, still looks pretty good with Shen. He's actually down a shop and still traded absolutely fine.
Yep, down a shop, as he will not have the boots to match. Chippy's running the Mercs, so making sure that he's got a little bit of tenacity to try and juke out of those taunts when they come on through. But they're going to continue to go for that fight. There's level 6. He finds it over nobody. Obviously, nobody can't use it on himself. Has to use it elsewhere. Chippies identifies it and commands it to get the Direwolves first blood.
Yeah, really nicely done from Chippies there. And I think that nobody should have just sacked that wave and then teleported back with the items he has. Meanwhile, in the mid lane.
Oh, beautiful flash there from Seaman, making sure that he does not get hit by that Emperor's Divides. Embers collided as mirrors in the area, and Bard having rotated all the way through to mid. Looking like a little situation there where the Oriana was in trouble. Burning through those consumables and getting dropped down to half right now.
Where was that hook being thrown to? You know that you're in Fog of War, and he threw it for the Duke, Skimmy. That was definitely close enough to just hit, if they so choose, and that hurts, because you need to get something back in the lane. You'd freed up the Thresh to be able to respond to a play in the mid lane. But unfortunately, the hook goes wide. No punish is going to be there. And whilst I said that nobody had done a good job to salvage his lane, he's now died once, had to burn his teleport, and Chippies, once again, is not going to teleport back to this wave. So just back-to-back good plays from Chippies, picking up the solo queue, holding onto all of the resources that he can, and going to be able to build himself a big advantage now, you feel, on the top side.
Yeah, big advantage, as you highlight, which can then be used to jump into a play to match the Stand United. Could be used there if they go for that lane flip to assist and jump up for the Rift Herald acquisition, up in only a few seconds. No real priority to go for this first dragon as it stands. Lane is quite content in just showcasing what they can do on an individual lane-by-lane basis. But the Callista, up by 10 at the stage, is where you'd want them to be, and especially knowing that you're going into one of those mana stacking users. We'll get to see if that Wombo combo, those little broken up skirmishes, will take place here for Gravitas.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for. Like, why are they not playing aggressive right now? They have their jungler on their side of the map. They have a Stand United advantage. Like, why is Puma not hopping forward? Why is Vital and this Ezreal just allowed to free farm? Maybe because they don't have any information on where the Graves is, but I feel like if you're going to pick a lane like Kalista Thresh, and you're just going to allow Ezreal to whack minions at the same pace as you, stack up that Manamune very early on in the game, then you're probably playing the wrong duo lane, because this is one of those lanes that must win. It does fall off when you compare it to something like an Ezreal, and unfortunately, they're just not able to find anything right now.
Certainly aren't. The hooks are definitely not connecting at this stage of the game, and Vital's been given a lot of free reign to do what he can. Picks up some Coco and ensures that even if Decoy's not there, he is well protected, and those summoners are ensured to not be used until the last stretch of hope. Back in the mid lane though, and this time the Emperor's Divide will connect Stand United a little bit too late, as the explosion here from McGraves will guarantee a second kill goes the way of Direwolves.
Yeah, that's what I would call a compensation play a lot of the time, Skimmy. Like, he's dead. Just let him die. There's nothing you can do to save your mid laner there. Even if you come through, you probably die as well as the Shen. Like, you're just not going to win that 2v2 at this stage of the game. So, instead of using the first Stand United proactively, it is a reactive Stand United. One of the worst ways to play Shen, in my opinion, because he needs to be played as a kill threat champion. And so that means that they're going to lose another kill. They're going to lose top lane Herald as well. And if they drop that mid, that's nearly the turret gone already, Skimmy. It's only 10 minutes into this game. Mid lane turret at that stage is so crucial, especially when you're playing Control Mage versus Control Mage.
Certainly is, and given how Nazir wants to get as much power online as quickly as possible, we're talking, the Stinger into the Nashers too, for the cooldown reduction that comes with it and the ability to duel and really cancel out a lot of these champions and force the fights on your terms rather than invite the skirmishes that the Gravitas comp is built to do. Then you're in a scary situation where then Shock can look to then free roam and cancel out so much of what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, and the scarier thing than maybe a free roaming Azir is an Azir that just sets up his sand turret and just continues to push the Orianna to the second wave. And then that frees up the Graves to be able to just run in, 1v1 your Echo. So I think there's so many options right now for the Direwolves, especially given the fact that, the three main carries are sitting on 1,400 gold each. So they can also just take a full reset right now, come back onto the map, and be 2,000 gold stronger than their opponents at 11 minutes into the game.
I'm seeing as it stands right now, the only lane that is going even right now with a small lead in favour of Puma is that bottom lane. That's what they're going to be banking on, no doubt, so far. But Chippy's once again going to showcase what he can do in a 1v1. He was brutal in his hype for this matchup, and he's brutal in his delivery as well. That's the second solo kill here, Spawn.
And that's just savage. He just walks underneath his turret and just kills him in what, didn't appear to be the best matchup. I'm sure Set still has ways to win this matchup, as you can see, but Chippies is destroying nobody in the top lane. He's going to come back. He's going Trinity Force as well, which I think is a good move here. You can see that Chippy's one of the better split pushers in League of Legends, for League of Legends in Oath, so should be building towards that, I think. He's winning the lane hard enough that he's going to get it on a similar timing to the Black Cleaver, normally anyway. He's farming up an absolute storm. Once again, still hasn't used that teleport, always leaving his lane in a good position to just be able to walk back and guarantee himself that pressure.
Yep, he's definitely showcasing his expertise in that role and ensuring that he's always there to match. As now we get to see what Gravitas can do in the spot lane. Tempered Fate will buy some time. The the rotate here from Miru is there. Heal will come out as they look to try and disengage to their turret. All the Ren stacks in the world though will eventually take him down. Out goes the True Shot Barrage. It's absolutely nothing. Collateral damage is there. Shock with the reset. Shock with the rotate. So far ahead of Sim, and that is so far away to try and interact. And what was originally a kill attempt onto Decoy comes back to haunt them.
Do you know the only thing missing from that aggressive play from the Gravitas lineup?
What are we missing?
The Stand United that should have been there if he hadn't used it to try and save his dead Orianna. Then it would have been a 3v3 at all stages of that fight. And I think they would have nearly come away with a win there, Skimmy. This is why you can't burn resources when you're playing aggressive bottom lanes. And Nier right now is 2 levels higher than Praelis and just shoots him in the face. And Praelis, I think, has realized very quickly that he can no longer 1v1 the Graves.
Yeah, you saw him actually trying to set themselves up for that 1v1 and then realized, hang on a minute, there's a 2-level difference between us. That's not a fight I want to take as the lane is now converged on mid once again. And we'll look to do as much damage as they can in this next minute as the turret plates will fall on down. Because the shockwave, not only to clear the wave, but to try and lower the impact that Direwolves have when they try to go for this head. But they'll find a shutdown, a very important one at just that. As now that means Oriana will find a bit of retribution over to Sazir.
Yeah, really well played there. That's the first real signs of life that we've seen out of the Gravitas lineup, because they were able to successfully defend that mid lane turret. We mentioned how important it is going to be. Mir did have the flash available, decided to not use it, and Praelis makes him pay. Praelis, definitely the best performing member of the Gravitas lineup the entirety of the split, probably the entirety of the year, apart from the brief stint that Pabu had on the team. And you can see that a lot of the action has to revolve around him, as Shock is going to get to work. He takes down the first turret, and he just does exactly what I mentioned. He puts up the sand turret. I'm surprised that Mir right now isn't just sprinting into that bottom side jungle and saying, okay, I want to fight this Echo at every opportunity.
Yeah, basically say this part of the map, you don't have any control of it. Then as a byproduct of that, you hinder the strength that this Kalista and Fresh are trying to present, because they're so concerned that, hey, maybe a gank could come behind us. So, interesting to see where Mira will go as stands. He's quite content just clearing all the top side of his own jungle. And we might see him go for a rotation, because there is no need to assist this set that is 2-0, and only a stinger away from getting that Trinity Foursome through.
Yeah, you can see that the two waves of mid-priority that the sand turret gives you in that safety, not really used for all that much. Shock did dip in and take himself a Raptor camp. But it could be used for potentially a dragon, as a Wind Drake is now going to spawn. It's about 4,000, 3,500 gold if you want to be completely fair. Two Direwolves at about the 15-minute mark. Now Praelis looking.
He is looking, and good timing as well, because this next dragon will spawn. They'll find one. Puma's the one that picks up the gold. Fantastic at just that. Stand United goes on top of the Echo, but the flash will disengage away. As now Arcane Shift is used to good effect. Praelis forced to burn the ultimate. The Chrono Break will come on through. The True Shot Barrage tickles nobody's skin, and as the shield evaporates, so does he. Falling on down. Both junglers survive, but a top laner for a support.
Yeah, better skirmish, however, coming across from the Gravitas lineup. You see they hit all their buttons at the same time, and good things are going to happen. They are still the stronger early game team, and this might actually be a second dragon picked up for them, Skimmy. Got to watch out for that one, as the Soul Wind condition will start to stack up. Nobody does have teleport to get back to this, and I think you just have to let it go.
This is a fantastic game for a Soul Point, because your options are Ocean or Infernal Soul to play for. The damage is done. Ocean Soul is what we're looking at. 2 dragons so far for Gravitas. Can Boomer find himself another kill? Can he get this Kalista accelerated? Can he look to try and match the tempo that Direwolves want to scale into? A shutdown is found here by Shen. Nobody had to use that teleport to get himself into that fight. Now he's looking to try and distract those members so his disengaging teammates can run back to safety.
So it is going to be a dragon picked up there for the Gravitas lineup. However, again, 2 members will fall down. Shock coming in.
He's looking for it, and despite a 2-level difference, he has no mana left in that tank to try and showcase what he can do, and Pumble's very keen, no doubt, to take that engage, despite not having a flash or an exhaust. He wanted to ensure that the Direwolves don't find too much value, but it's not going to change the overall outcome here, and they're going to find themselves the second turret.
Yeah, so turret goes down again. When you kind of look at the way this game is tracking, it's going to be double Trinity Force picked up very early for the Direwolves members. A 3-0 into Ezreal means that he's going to have a 2-item spike way before your Kalista is there, and is just going to continue to outscale as the game goes on. We've already mentioned it, Control Mage versus Control Mage. Shock going to outrange the Oriana, obviously. Oriana better maybe wombo combo potential if you want to describe it that way. But across the board, it just looks like this is a Direwolves lineup that has advantages. They have a 5,000 gold lead at only 17 minutes into the game, and they're looking to continue the rapid pace.
They certainly are, and Ezreal this far accelerated. A set that's opted for a Trinity Force rather than a Black Cleaver. You know, when that 5v5 comes across, which is what Direwolves are keen to make happen, they've already got themselves everything at their disposal to really break apart what Gravitas are trying to achieve. They want to go for skirmishes. They've had back-to-backs, and they've looked to be the good so far. But has it been enough? Is it too little too late? Is the question we'll have to no doubt keep ourselves in a loop of. Herald is there available. And based on the current lane states, Gravitas they're going to lose so much if they go for this.
And you can see really nice job actually from the Direwolves to just continue to shove in the lanes before they go for the objective. They're making the members of Gravitas actually dip their head into the river, which means that at all times there could be an uneven numbered team fight. You can see Ezreal as well as the Bard down here, Graves and Azir on the top side of Summoner's Rift. And they're just going to continue to bounce out the waves, continue to shove them in. and they're just looking for a mistake. They're being pretty relentless right now.
Bates on cooldown there, using that death sentence to see anything that may stick as they go up and down that river, looking to showcase that, hey, we're not too keen to go for this, Herald. We're just seeing really what you're willing to trade off as a result to make that play happen. Now, bear in mind, both top laners do not have their teleport, but Shen will have that innate advantage to assist. But knowing where the wave is prepped right now, this set could achieve so much, potentially just a solo turret if he were to go for that Stand United, as now Praelis might need it, and there it is. He's caught in so much trouble, and before I can even get the words out there, Spawn, he's fallen on down.
Yeah, he flashed forward, he had the Stand United on him, was looking to maybe go aggressive, but there is just so much damage coming out of this Ezreal Graves combo. You can see Ezreal already with the transform. This is going to be Herald picked up for the Direwolf members. 90 seconds until the Ocean Dragon is actually up and available as well. You'd expect Direwolves to look for maybe a full reset into that particular objective. It's getting quite ugly here, Skimmy. I don't know whether they outscale. I said in the 5v5, I really don't think they do. They needed some form of advantages out of the bottom lane. I actually think Puma's had a pretty good performance so far, but across the board, Direwolves just looking a little bit more clean.
Certainly are. They're showcasing that despite one member maybe having a pop-off performance, you're going to need more than just that, as they will actually showcase a bit of aggression topside, and Shock will match that by flashing to safety. And that's the obvious strength, really, of what a Kalista Fresh, much like a Kalista Nautilus, can present. You know, the two-man duo, when they come at you, you've got to respect it.
Yeah, and I think that this is what I mean, that Puma's been playing well. He just immediately walked forward at the Azir and throws his support at him and says, you know what, this is my time to shine. I need to be strong at this stage of the game. Because he's staring across the barrel of a 3-0 and 2 equal CS, but transformed Manamune and Trinity Force Ezreal, who just, like, is not going to go away. He's even been given a blue buff. That's how much confidence this team has in Vitals Ezreal. And, yeah, it's just one of those difficult things that you know that the game is on a timer from the start, and that your early game maybe hasn't been as dangerous as you would have liked.
Well, this is a scary situation because Praelis was hunting for the Herald. Will he get hunted now for the Dragon itself? Mirrors the target. They're going to actually do the Uno reverse card and flip and take him out of the equation. Beats now locked in place. So 1-for-1 so far. Chippy's on the flank. Orianna does a shockwave, but it doesn't really do much damage. Every member of the Direwolves are topped up and healthy. Chippies is an absolute behemoth. He'll go for the 1v3 slam dunk. He'll take down one. He'll look for a second. And it is Azir that picks up the double. The damage is done, jungler or not. They might be quite content just waiting this one out.
Yeah, and I think that you have a look at that one and you say, really good start from the Gravitas lineup. You know, nobody hitting a big taunt, trying to get something done in the fight. But as the fight became a little bit more extended, you know, prolonged, Skimmy, the advantages started to stack up. And then as soon as Chippies arrives, he just cleans house like a wrestler in the Royal Rumble, just throws everyone out of the ring. And unfortunately, if you're Gravitas, you need to say, okay, good attempt. We need to continue to try and find numbered fights. You know, maybe use our teleport right here. We got to shut this man down.
That's what they're going to do indeed, Spawn. They're looking topside. Praelis is going to be one to start things off. Out comes the teleport. Seaman is there. Same with the Fresh. A 3-man collapse. The turret will fall on down. So it's not going to be a 4v1 because the turret does count as a person. As well, he nearly actually went for the kill on Praelis. Lucky to live. Will disengage away. And they've kept this set at bay for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, but good job from the Gravitas lineup. I mean, this is actually... It's really tough to play League of Legends in this scenario, Skimmy. When you are so far behind, it's so early in the game. It kind of feels doomed, especially when you do get outscaled. But they're doing the right thing. They're using the resources available to them to look for plays. They're trying to funnel gold onto the correct members. It has to be Orianna at this stage, looking to, you know, 1v5 the game. So I like that effort. And I like the fact that they're staying positive and proactive.
Certainly are. Spellbinder is there, the mobility necessary to try and keep toe-to-toe with this Azir, which has gone for the Magi's, and 10 stacks are there, so definitely mobility is going to be the key word for these control mages that look to continue to soak these side waves up, hoover up all the gold that they can find, be it from kills, assists, or whatever comes their way. But they are losing more and more control of this map as turrets continue to fall on down. 3 turrets to 0 favour the Direwolves so far, and they're using that to good effect as they continue to rotate across this map and just cancel out Stand United after Stand United. That one's stuck, and that one is a big one. Question is, will Gravitas look for more?
Yeah, and you can see 2 members of the Direwolves still in that mid lane. So, turret going to fall down. It was about a 3v5 for a moment there. Gravitas thought they had maybe found someone. That is a good pick, how everyone speaks.
Yep, Direwolves have found somebody, and it comes in the name of a fresh. Fallen on down, no chance to dash away. Had no flash, unfortunately for him. And can't lantern himself to safety. Now, that might be the invitation for the Direwolves to say, do we now consider going to Baron?
And this is maybe the only way Gravitas can win the game. They somehow win a team fight right now, and they get a Baron.
Taunts
not gonna
Chippies.
happen, though.
He's going to look them away. 1v4 so far. He acts as goalkeeper, zones them all out. Decoy jumps on in, has no tempered fate, and can't portal himself out to safety. So they'll pick up a kill. Shen will be the benefactor of that one. But it'll be now 4 members of the Direwolves with a Baron buff to their name.
And 2 minutes until, another Ocean Dragon coming up and available. And you can see it's already been quite effective in keeping this Ezreal topped off. So good news just keeps rolling in for Direwolves fans. I like the confidence behind the Direwolves. I've been pretty vocal about their content all year, but they seem very, very confident coming into this matchup against the Gravitas lineup. Now they find themselves 8,000 gold up at 24 minutes with the Baron buff on 4 members. See how they close this out. Leading into playoffs, Skimmy, a lot of your gameplay is about sending a message. Okay, we won, but how did we win? What pick a team's going to be looking at that you have to ban away? Is Miru going to get this Graves ever again? You have a look at Vital and his Ezreal. It's kind of been legendary all year, to be honest. Like, our team's going to continue to ban away things like Aphelios if he can just play Ezreal to this high of a level. And in that regard, the Azir also now starting to rear its head as a legitimate threat as well. Shock has got so many carries that you now need to be worried about.
I mean, his champion diversity, it's so deep, so raw, and we've seen at times him also be quite vocal about, maybe my 3rd or 4th champion, maybe even my 8th champion is at a standard equivalent to, say, another mid laner's 3rd. He's been quite vocal about it, and he's showcasing here a different game, a different pick. We'll get to see what he can do to close things out, because as it stands, they're making another play towards the bottom side of the map, looking to pick up their 5th turret here.
You can see that they're still just leaving the Ezreal in the mid lane. They're not all that worried about the pace at which this game is going. The support staff are just going to rotate between the lanes, look to keep them buffed up, look to keep the laners safe. They can use Shock's teleport if he's got a death cap right now to get back onto map. Chippies is completely safe in the top side of Summoner's Rift. And the only real play left for the Gravitas lineup is either admit that you're going to slowly bleed and potentially lose an inhibitor or 2 here, or you have to look to hard engage. And it looks like right now they're choosing to bleed.
Yep, they've been spread across the map right now because the Direwolves are using this Baron buff to good effect, looking to try and crash 2 waves at the same time and really distract Gravitas' attention as to do we go bot lane to force that fight, or do we try and match this set? And as it stands, they're going to do neither, as they're going to let both turrets fall on down. Go for one final shot. And this Baron buff can't have much left longer.
Yeah, it's done, actually. And I'm really surprised that Vital recalled for a death stance at this stage of the game when it looked like if he had just sat mid Skimmy, that inhibitor turret was falling down. And potentially would have given the team fight to be able to win the game. Obviously, getting items is important in League of Legends. I would recommend everyone buy items when they play the game. But if you're already ahead in items, there's no point really going back and shopping for more. Just gives your opponents an opportunity to look for the perfect engage, maybe the perfect wombo combo, and try and bring themselves back into it.
Well, Gravitas are stuck in their base right now. Direwolves not allowed them for basically reasons just like that. As you can see there, the Sand Soldiers come on out and they force them back behind the safety of that gate. Now the mid lane siege, they're all in. Keep an eye on nobody's position right now. It's a 2-man shockwave. The Chronosphere, can they find a stun? It's a little bit untimely there, so it will not be. But Chippies will take an invitation to flash on forward, hit them with the face breaker, and sweet dreams to Puma.
Yeah, there's just so much damage. Like, even if you bait out an ultimate from Miru, you still have to worry about everyone else on this Direwolves lineup. You can see that without an 80 carry now, this is going to be the impossible task to defend this turret.
The 4v5 hold, when you're down 7 kills, you're down with 0 turrets to your name, and you've got a whole gold disparity to try and work with as well. Can they pull off the unthinkable here as their first inhibitor is being threatened? Will we see some cheeky shenanigans come out of these Direwolf players looking to pad their KDAs? Nope, restraint will be shown. They will disengage away. They know they've got a Baron to look forward to in 90 seconds and an Ocean Soul to play for in just under 4.
Yeah, and they're going to go full reset as well, Skimmy. They're really making sure of this game, is the way I would put it.
Very risk adverse.
Yeah, it's like very tortoise and the hairstyle. They know that they outscale. They know that they don't need to be in a rush, but that hasn't stopped the Direwolves in the past from just steamrolling teams. So we'll keep track of how long this one takes to close out. It is only 28 minutes. It would still be a quick game if it was to end right now. But you can see Gravitas, they've made their way into that topside jungle, potentially going to look for a pick here.
Can they find it? Will Beats be given an opportunity to try and plant some vision down and turn things around? As it stands, you've got yourself an opponent running 3 sweepers and making good use of it so far. When it's there for the using, they are ensuring that you see nothing. And this part of the map with the blue buff spawning, that doesn't belong to you. These neutrals, you won't get any chance to see where they're rotating to, what lanes they're prepping, and what plays they're trying to formulate.
I don't know if they are trying to formulate plays right now. It looks like they're just farming. However, maybe found something in the top side.
Yep, double teleport's going to come on out here so far. Oh, Beats looking to try and disengage. He does have that flash. Will he use it? No, going to go for a play straight away, and well, just going to pay the ultimate price. Fall on down. True shot barrage. Couple that with the Graves, and that's a disaster when it comes to AoE. Deco trying to flash and fall with the Cosmic Binding. Suplexes himself out of the shockwave. That was a cute little interaction. A 3-man stun, but the damage has already been done. Vito hits the heal, he hits the double, he hits the triple, give him a quad, give him it all. He was confident, and for good reason. That skill shot won't land. And that might be the nail in the coffin here at 30 minutes on the dot. The Direwolves are confident, and for good reason too, because they'll take down the Gravitas roster for game number 2.
And it maybe took a little bit longer than I thought, Skimmy, but it was very clinical from the Wolfpack. They come into this game as red hot favors. They show everyone at home exactly why that is. They continue to put some distance between themselves and Avant Gaming, who we're going to see play later. But the Direwolves now 10 and 9, still trying to chase the Chiefs and Pentanet as this Super Week progresses.
Certainly are. Another team looking to try and cause back-to-back upsets here. It will be a returning Mammoth. They'll be up against up after the break, and they'll be taking on the new favourites in order.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got it! This is dead! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.